G'day viewers. Walk with me a while we discuss perception. It's easy to fall into the trap that your worldview is the only worldview. It is, after all, unless you're delusional, very real for you. It's just really easy to forget the filters you have in place. Where I'm walking at the moment, I think, is some of the more impressive street art in Melbourne. You don't have to go very far to find someone who thinks it's disgusting, awful vandalism. Perception. The online world, I think, magnifies the distortions in people's perceptions. And from my experience, for whatever reason, with a lot of people, it makes them less likely to accept there may be something wrong with their perception. They're far more likely to be exposed to differing, conflicting perceptions. But from my experience, a large number of people are actually far less likely to come to terms with the fact that there might be something wrong with their perceptions. It's as simple as that. This is a very dangerous conversation, of course, because everything I'm saying revolves around my perceptions, and you can poke holes in that. Another thing I find intriguing about people and their perceptions is a really binary view a lot of people take. Either you believe solely in what you believe it wholeheartedly, and you reject everything else and condemn it as evil and wrong in some way, or you have no strongly held beliefs yourself. I myself have deeply held beliefs, but I don't usually feel compelled to actively crush people who disagree with me. Now, if other people's belief systems, particularly their will to impose their belief systems, impinges on my rights to maintain my own, I'm going to fight back against that. So, personally, I don't think tolerance is at all about giving up your own beliefs. I actually think that's an argument of very weak bullies. Side note, down here behind me, piece of art by Banksy, famous stencil artist, purported to be the only genuine Banksy in Melbourne. It's protected by a piece of perspex. I'll get a close-up in a second. But is anyone else digging the irony? That's the Banksy there. Dude in a coat and a diving helmet. And see, I don't know if you can see the bolts there. It's covered by perspex. Transient street art being protected. Weird. There's a lot of noise and chaos in this world. It can be hard to find your way. What's the art? What's the graffiti? What's the art? What's the vandalism? What's the genuine wanting to contribute and change and challenge things? And what's the stupidity? I am, at the moment, testing the waters in the grand experiment known as Vloggerheads. If you haven't heard the rumours, everything you've heard is true, including the stuff that's totally contradictory and so therefore obviously not true. I'm not one of the organisers or creators of the site, so obviously I can't actually speak as to why it exists, but my take on it is that it's an attempt to learn from YouTube. The site certainly would never have come into existence without YouTube, but it's an attempt to learn from the things that purely and simply went wrong at YouTube and pretty much every other video sharing site. One of the key goals, as I understand it, is to give people who want to make videos a refuge from the brutal negativity that holds sway on YouTube. And there's been some very conspiracy-laden talk about motivations there, but in essence, it seems the main way it's planned to achieve that is taking away anonymity. You'll have to provide real identification of yourself. And if you indulge in harassing behaviour, you'll get your access to the site cut off. Some people regard that as quite an affront. And this is kind of where I was going with my point about perception. People perceive, some people perceive, they have a right to do and say anything they want to anyone they like online. Because, I'll quote that old chestnut, the gutless pieces of shit would not do it in real life. They simply wouldn't. The angle being taken on Vloggerheads is not so much you don't have the right to do that. It's more a case of the people who are trying to build this community want to exercise the right to be free of certain behaviours. The fact is, if you want to keep behaving like all the troll chumps on YouTube, you can do that on YouTube. It's really easy. The idea that some people find it somehow personally offensive that some people might want to set up at least a semi-closed community that provides some protection from that, I'm frankly quite stunned that someone can maintain that internal cognitive dissonance without their head exploding. They have the right to do whatever they want, but other people don't have the right to do what they want in a private setting. It's quite strange, actually. If you have seen any discussion of the Vloggerheads site, you probably would have noticed a bit of passion about it. It gets people mighty worked up. I've already seen the predictable patterns of people just telling easily provable lies. Now, actually, a better word would be to say they are saying things that are easily provable to be untrue. In some cases, the people don't believe they're lying. They just hold really strong views that are in absolute conflict with what's driving Vloggerheads, and for whatever reason, they're incapable of making the leap to understand they're wrong. Yes, you heard me, kids. I spoke in an absolute there. These people don't have an alternative viewpoint. They aren't seeing things from a different angle. They are flat out and provably wrong.